Hello, and welcome to another magical conversation. So, today, I'm gonna be honest, I did not have the best week. I'm gonna vent a little bit here. Basically, I got a new roommate. And imagine this guy came, and the first interaction that we had, he just belittled me, diminished me, made fun of me. You know those type of people that consider like maybe flirting as banter? The type of flirting that is like they diminish you, they make fun of you, and it's kind of I find a bit of a manipulation technique that is like they want to diminish you, so you seek for their approval, and for me, that's like not flirting at all. I know, like, for a lot of people, it is considered flirting. But for me, it's just like a manipulation technique. I really don't like that. So imagine a new roommate came to my house. And the first like time that we spoke, it just like diminished me, made fun of me, and imagine I was drinking, for example, an iced tea. And he was like, "Hey, what are you drinking?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm drinking iced tea." And he was like, "Oh, boring." And he tried to offer me a beer. And I was like, "No, I don't want it. Like, I've been trying to, like stay sober. And I used to do it in the past. I used to drink a lot, but I don't do it anymore." And he kind of was making fun of me, like, "Oh, look at you in the past. Like, you used to drink, and now, like, you feel like you're all grown up and stuff like that." So this man, off the bat, I don't like him. Off the bat, I don't feel safe with him. I feel like every conversation that we are going to have is him trying to diminish me and devalue me. It's giving narcissism. It's giving narcissism to the maximum. And I've been trying to avoid like social interactions with him, but he's always like pushing and trying to speak with me. And I'm just trying to answer as short as, yeah, like not interested as I possibly can, but it is not respecting my boundaries, because that's another conversation that is like, I feel like boundaries don't only need to be said, but I think you need to kind of respect a person's social cues. If somebody doesn't want to speak with you, if somebody is not giving you anything, just respect that. Like, I think boundaries and boundary settings, it does not always need to be you saying, "Hey, this is my boundaries." I think someone that really has respect for you and empathy for you will read your social cues and will see if you are interested or not, and they will respect that. You don't need to say like out loud, "These are my boundaries," because you can read from a person's behavior and like body posture and how they interact. You don't push people, you just accept what they are giving to you and move forward. And this guy is always pushing me, and I'm always trying to run away from him. Basically, I'm trying to like avoid the maximum interaction that I can, but he's always like trying to ask me stuff like, "What you're doing, what you're gonna do," da, da, da. And I know that the only reason why he's asking me that is then to belittle me, to make fun of me, to diminish me. And imagine, for example, this project, Laurinda, this is what I do most days. I am looking for a job, and that's usually what I say to people. But I don't share with people Laurinda, like with people in my real life. I don't share that I have an Instagram. I don't share that I have an YouTube. I don't share that I have a podcast. And I do this because I'm at the beginning stages of this project. And I know that if I share this project with people, the reaction I'm going to get most of the times is a reaction of them trying to instill fear or mocking me, or like, "Oh, like, look at you for making content," or whatever, or trying to instill fear in me in the sense of like, "You're never going to make it. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? That's crazy." And I'm really trying to have the strongest mindset that I can. I'm really trying to believe in myself and to surpass my self doubt. And I really don't share this with people because I don't need other people to create more fear and doubt within me. And also, I don't feel like I deserve anyone a justification of my life. I don't feel like people need an explanation of what I do every single day. I don't think that's something that people need. And this guy is always like trying to figure out what I'm doing, very not respecting my boundaries, very in my space. And usually, what I say to people is like, I'm looking for a job, which is true. But of course, like all day, I'm basically working, right? For me, even though it doesn't feel like a job because I love what I do and I love creating content and I love to expand Laurinda and magical conversations. But I don't say that to people because I want to protect my mindsets. I want to have the most positive and strongest mindset that I can because I really believe if I believe this is possible, it will be. But I cannot let people create doubt within me. And that's usually what they do. They usually project their own insecurities and their own fear onto me. And I cannot have that in my mind space at the moment. So I don't share with people, but of course, I'm always doing something, right? And this guy is always like, oh, you spend the day doing nothing. Guys, I'm so pissed. And I feel like this is really also something that I experienced a lot in my childhood that was constantly making fun of, constantly being belittled, constantly being diminished. And it's something that I struggled so much in my childhood with my parents, with my environment, with my family, that all they did was diminish me, devalue me, make fun of me, and it really sends my body into survival state. I'm very much in survival at the moment. I've been not sleeping well, like my face is breaking out. I'm very agitated. And also my survival state, this is like, I guess, the positives of my survival state is that when I am in survival, I work a lot. I work a lot. I'm very strict with my work routine because that's something I can escape with. That's something I can control. That is my safe space. My work and learning the land, the magical conversation is my safe space. So, in one sense, I've been working a lot, but I know later I'm going to have to rest. And I know this, I'm going to have to pay for having being in this survival state later, and I'm gonna have to take time to rest later when I'm out of this survival state. But it's just really frustrating, especially when it's like in my house. If this is something like on the outside, I can handle it because I don't need to be with people from the outside. I can choose to not be with people from the outside and then come back to a safe place that is my home. But because this is happening in a safe place for me that is my home, I'm really struggling here. Like, really being in survival. I'm trying to avoid him, trying to escape, but the guy is always does not respect my boundaries. The guy is always trying to come up to my space, try to make fun of me, and this is really sending me into a survival space. So this week has not been easy. And imagine, there is a saving grace here is that I got two other different roommates that they are really nice and I do feel safe with them. So I've been trying to like focus my attention in them, especially like when the other guy is also like in the kitchen or living room. I try to just focus on the other roommates that they are very nice. Like I really like the other two new roommates that came. They are like nice, they are respectful, they respect my boundaries without me having to say what my boundaries are because they understand by my social cues. Like they understand if I don't speak too much, they will not push conversation. If I'm with my headphones, they don't try to talk to me. They don't ask for things that are for information that I'm not giving, and I'm very grateful for that. But even though, imagine I'm speaking with the two new roommates, the ones that I like, and the guy enters the conversation and he asks me stuff, and I'm like, bro, Get out of my space. I respect yours, you respect mine, please. But this guy is giving entitled. This guy is giving narcissist. This guy, yeah, is giving all of that. And that is been really messing up with my nervous system and with my survival mode because I really like my space. I really like my own thing. Don't push me too much. Don't ask for information that I'm not giving. Just accept what I'm giving, and that's it. So I'm really hoping and praying and asking the universe for this guy to move out as soon as possible. Honestly, I'm like really praying. Like, please, please, if you are seeing this, send me wishes for that guy to move out, please. And I've been trying to do my best to cope with this because it gets me really angry. And angry is an emotion of someone that is stepping into your boundaries, of someone that is disrespecting your boundaries. And I'm trying to like honor my anger and express it, feel it out, write it down, and also not doubt myself because I think there's a lot of excuses for this type of behavior. Like, it's not that bad. Like, maybe they were just having a bad day. And I'm like, no, like, this is who they are. This is who they are at their core. Like, for me, there is no excuse. And I think in the past, I excused a lot of this behavior and like I kind of gaslighted myself is like the gaslighting, right? People gaslight you so much that then at some point you start to gaslight yourself. And I'm really trying to trust myself to say, hey, like I've seen this person have behaviors that I don't agree with and that I don't think they are respectful and they are that I don't think they are moral, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm not trying to give them more space, or I'm not trying to make it something that is not, or I'm not trying to make it better. And in some ways, that's the good part of this, is that I'm really showing myself that I've changed. Because maybe in the past I'll excuse this behavior, give more opportunities, where no, this is how people are, and I just need to accept people for who they are. If this is a behavior they are having, if these are the interactions that they are having with me, I'm going to take it at face value. Like, if you like to diminish people and devalue people, I'm not going to expect you for you to be better. I'm not going to give you a shot for you to be better, right? And I think that's something in the past I did a lot. I excuse, yes, they had sometimes like behaviors like this where they like devalue me, diminish me, but I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe like they are different. They are not. From what I learned in life, people just are who they are. For someone to change, it needs a lot of inner work and a long period of time of looking at themselves in the mirror. And usually, especially with like narcissistic personalities, they don't change. It's just who they are, and I need to accept that. So I'm trying to my best to gray. I think it's gray rocking or gray walling. This is like a term in the narcissist community on how you deal with a narcissist. Basically, you give them as least information that you can. You give them as least amount interactions that you can, even though that they are always pushing the line, right? They're always trying to take out their information out of you just to like then use it against you, make fun of you, diminish you. So yeah, that has been really hard. My body is in survival. I'm like not sleeping well. I'm very agitated. And I had my birthday this on Monday, 30th of September, and I really wanted to dedicate my birthday to feel my emotions, feel the sadness that comes from with those emotions, feel all the birthdays, especially when I was a kid, that I was expecting to be loved, that I was expecting to feel safe, that I was expecting to be praised, that I was expecting to be celebrated, and I never was. Of course, I was later in life, but the wounds of my inner child don't allow me to fully rejoice in that. I still have a lot of healing to do in that sense. So I really wanted to take out time in my birthday to really feel the pain of those childhood birthdays where I was again diminished, devalued, made fun of, all of that. And I mean, I tried my best, but I was so angry and I was so mad with this guy that I couldn't like fully tap into my emotions of sadness. But I did try my best. I had some good cries in there. And I wrote myself postcards. I'm gonna show you guys. So I wrote myself a little letter. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can see the letter that I wrote myself. Basically, I bought like this little postcard that says "Happy Birthday" with some flowers in it. And then I thought about in my birthdays when I was a kid. I thought about how did I want to be celebrated? For example, by my parents or by the people closest to me at that time. What did I want people to say to me that will give me a sense of love, acceptance, and celebration? And I wrote that to myself. Basically, I'm going to read to you the letter that I wrote to myself in my birthday. This is very personal, so I'm sharing here a very tender part of myself and a very intimate part of myself. And this is like a letter from me to me. I love you unconditionally. I'm here to support you and give you a hand in all phases of your life. It's a blessing the day that you were born. There is nothing I will change about you. For me, you are perfect as you are. Thank you for existing. Thank you for being yourself. I'm proud of you just for existing. I celebrate you today and every day. And I hope to live many years to continue celebrating you. I'm here and I'll always be here for you and nobody else. Thank you, my love. And then I wrote here, happy birthday. I put your kiss and I wrote like my signature, Laurinda. I also put like some pictures I cut out of a magazine. This is like a tree and this is the sky. So this letter really means a lot to me. I even put this letter in my altar because this letter signifies me giving myself the love that I wanted from people, me filling in the voids within me giving the unconditional love that I always seeked. And I really tried to write this letter as from me to me, but thinking what I wanted to hear from people in that moment. And I had like a little cupcake. I put a candle and I sang to myself, Happy birthday. I blew out the candle and I read this letter and I really tried to feel it like I am loved. I am loved by myself. I am supported. I am supported by myself. I am celebrated because I am celebrated for myself. And I put this in my altar, and from time to time I read it as a reassurance. Hey, you are loved. You are supported. You are celebrated. And this really means a lot. And it's really simple, right? Just words that I wanted to receive. But these words and this love is all I was looking for. Is all I ever wanted was a sense of reassurance and a sense of love. Because I really thought in my birthday, should I buy myself something like a gift? But the greatest gift I could give myself was love. The greatest gift I could give myself was to honor myself and to celebrate myself. And this letter is all I ever wanted. For someone to say those words to me, to be there for me and truly mean it. Don't just say it because saying it, truly mean it through their actions, through their consistency, through continuously being there. So this meant a lot to me, and I'm really happy I did this. And I'm really happy that I took the time to feel my emotions. And this, I think, is going to be a birthday that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. A birthday that I spent alone, something that I thought it was going to be so hard for me to do, and it was. But something I never had the courage to do, but I knew I needed. And this is a birthday where I decided to give myself what I'm looking for in people, to give myself that unconditional love, to give myself that unconditional support. So, in a lot of ways, I like my birthday, even though I was with a lot of anger because of the guy. Guys, like, I'm really praying for this man to leave my house. Like, I'm praying to the universe, please, 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 leave my house. And I'm really praying he does. But at the same time, I'm happy that I could take the time to give to myself. And I'm happy that I'm not ashamed to be alone. I'm happy that I like to be alone. And I'm not longer trying to create relationships with people just because, yes, create dynamics with people just because, yeah, just because, yes, because I feel like when I am with a dynamic with someone, like if you are my friend, I will give you the most love that I can. I'm loyal, I'm there for you. Like I'm so connected and so loyal to the people in my life. I'm a bit of a all or nothing. Or I'm there for you fully, of course, not to my detriment, never to my detriment. Maybe in the past it was to my detriment, but now it is not. Not to my detriment, but if the moments that I take to be with you, I'm not a person that is like 24 hours with someone, not anymore. But like the moments that I take to be with you, I'm going to be there emotionally present. I'm going to be there to connect with you, to validate you, to be loyal to you. I will never, for example, if you are my friend, I will never like, I always defend you behind your back, you know? I'll never speak badly about you. Like I'm loyal. I'm gonna be the best person that I can for you. And the best person that I can is basically the person that I am to myself. I'm gonna give you the love that I give to myself. And I don't joke, like for me, connections are serious. I don't have casual friends. I don't have none of that. And I cannot like again a all or nothing type of person because I really connect with people and I really feel their emotions and I feel their pain and I try to be there to the best of my capabilities. So, like, when I let someone enter in my life, when I let someone be my friend and I create that dynamic, I'm very serious about it. And it's not just anyone, it's not just any person that I let into my private life. When I do it, is because I really love you. And of course, like usually this doesn't it doesn't last long because I think most people cannot give me what I'm looking for. And I've come to terms with that. I've come with peace with that. I'm not a person for everyone. I have a unique set of needs. And honestly, my needs, which is I don't think is that big of a need, but I think it's hard for a lot of people, is a lot of emotional validation. When I come to you and I'm sharing my feelings, do not reject my feelings. Do not give me an immediate solution. Don't be like, oh no, it's not that bad. Let's do this, let's do that, instead of feeling your feelings. I hate that. If you invalidate my emotions, I'm out. Like for me, I think the biggest thing is really like validation of emotions, and that's also what I try to do with people. When people are vulnerable with me, I'm there. Hey, that must have been really hard for you. I'm sorry that you went through that. Like I'm here to support you while you feel those emotions, and I'm here to support you while you feel your pain. And if someone is not capable to do that for me, I'm out. That's actually like the boundary that I usually makes me leave. That's the boundary that I'm like, okay, this doesn't work for me. If you invalidate my emotions, like, don't think about it. It's not that bad. But for me, it's not that it's that bad, but like for me, I want to feel my emotions. I don't want to reject my emotions. I want to feel, I want to process them, and I want to let them go, because the only way for me to move forward from this is to feel those emotions. But again, I'm not blaming people, because I think people cannot do that for themselves. So they interact with other people the same way they interact with themselves. They give the same responses as the responses they give to themselves. And I get it. I'm not saying like people are bad. It's not that what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that I'm a very unique person that needs a lot of emotional intelligence, that needs a lot of emotional validation, that needs a space to feel, and the space where I can feel and be accepted and supported in it. And really, like, accepted and support in terms of feeling emotions with people is just someone to say, hey, it is hard what you're going through. I'm here for you. Like, I'm here to support you. What do you need from me in this moment? How can I support you during this moment? And it's basically just a shoulder to cry on. All I need is kind of a shoulder to cry on, not trying to reject my emotions, not trying to find a solution to my emotions, just having space to feel. And again, I know people do this with quote unquote the best intentions, but that's not what I'm looking for. That is not how I want to create a relationship and dynamic. And it really feels invalidating to me. If because I already don't allow many people in. I already don't have many people in my private life, in my intimate life. And when I open up and I'm vulnerable to you, and your first response is to reject that vulnerability, I'm out, because you are not willing to create a relationship with my truest self. You are not willing to create a relationship with my vulnerability, with who I am at my core. Yes, maybe you like my fun parts, you like my excitement, you like my praise, you like my aliveness, you like my inner child, my sense of play. Yes, but you don't like the most intimate and vulnerable parts of myself. And again, I know these are projections for people. They do this because they don't like their own most intimate, vulnerable parts of themselves. They don't accept their emotions, so therefore they are incapable of accepting other people's emotions. So I'm very picky. I'm very picky. If I let you in my life, I'm there for you emotionally, and if you cannot do the same, I walk away. But in a lot of ways, in this journey of being alone, I'm really fulfilled in it. So also I don't need to create relationships just because yes. I don't need to create relationships just for parts. I don't need to have people in my life just to feel some sort of space or just to create noise, because at this point it feels like noise. It feels like too much, you know? uh, because I am fulfilled within me. Like I have my own passions, my own hobbies, my own routines. Not only that, but I'm actively choosing to give myself the love that I'm seeking in others. I'm actively choosing to take time to learn how to love myself, be there for myself, support myself. And I'm not accepting any less. If that's the way that I treat myself, I'm not accepting anything else, because it just feels like a burden. It just feels like, wait, if you are not giving me the same thing that I'm giving to myself, I'm being depleted. That's another thing. I think in a lot of ways I'm a loud introvert in the sense that yes, I'm charismatic. Yes, like I can be and appear extroverted, right? I can be in a social setting and seem confident. I can socialize with many people. I can have conversations with many different people from many different backgrounds and cultures. I'm very adaptable. But being with someone most of the times is really draining for me. It drains all my energy. Like someone needs to actively pour into me, otherwise I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm just burned out. I think like where I gain energy, and for me, that's the true meaning of being an introvert or an extrovert. Like introverts gain energy from solitude, and extroverts gain energy from social interactions. And I really gain energy from being left alone, honestly, from like enjoying my own space, enjoying my own time. And if someone is not actively pouring into me the same way that I'm pouring into myself, I just get left tired, and there is no point in that. So yeah, this has been my week. I know better weeks are coming. I know that also my wishes are granted. At some point, that guy will move out because I'm very grateful for my connection. Yeah, with my sense of spirituality and my connection with the universe. And in one way or another, I always get what I want. And that's something that has been proven to me through many times in my life, that my desires really come true, and I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful for that. So I know everything is going to be okay, but for now I have to deal with this and feel these emotions. And today I wanted to share a story that is a bit crazy. Most of the stories of my life are a bit crazy. I have to give a trigger warning for this story. So, trigger warning here. This story is about kidnapping. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't mind this word. And kidnapping in the sense of where they kidnap you to sell your body, like for organs or for other more, I guess, for intimate, unconsensual, intimate relationships. I'm using these words again, being YouTube friendly. So hopefully you get my drift. So I'm going to talk about my experience with that. And this is going to be a two-part story because I was not only almost kidnapped once, I was almost kidnapped twice. This happened to me almost twice in my life. And my intuition really saved me in this. This is where like my intuition, my inner guidance, and my inner voice screamed at me. And if it wasn't for my inner voice and my intuition, I don't know where I would be. And this is also a story that taught me a lot of lessons about the power of the mind. And I'm going to explain that at the end. So basically, I was almost kidnapped for a ring where they kidnap you and they sell your body for organs or unconsensual intimate relationships. And basically, imagine I'm 17 the first time. I'm 17, living in my hometown. And my hometown is like a smaller city in Portugal. It is a city that is very run by like tourism. Is a city that is like, I find it like small minded. And imagine, I think there is like this preconception of like Portugal is a safe place and you are safe in Portugal. And honestly, I had a lot of scary experiences in Portugal. I don't get where they call it safe. I don't consider it safe at all. I actually consider a very scary place that I had to go through a lot of trauma in it, not only with my family environment, but with a lot of trauma with like random people like in the streets, like a lot of unsafety that I had to go through, a lot of dangerous situations that I'm very lucky to be alive from. I'm very lucky that I survived because I'm really alive by a miracle. Like there were so many situations in my life where like I was so close to not being alive. I was so close to not being here, which is like crazy to think about. It really gives me a lot of perspective on life, and it really gives me a sense that I really try to, um, in this life, I really try to push myself to live my dreams, my goals, and aspiration. I try to not conform because, in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm alive by a miracle, so might as well try to like enjoy it to my fullest authenticity and like dream big and go for it because I feel like this life, to be alive, was a miracle given to me and I don't take it for granted at all. So in a lot of ways it gave me a lot of perspective in life. So imagine it's a small town. And at the time, I was 17, and me and my best friend at the time, we were going for like a coffee, right? And where I lived in this small town, it was like not too far away from the center, but I had to walk like 45 minutes to go into the center. And imagine I was poor at the time. So a lot of times I had to make choices, or do I want this coffee or do I want to take the bus? Because I did not have many means for both, for like to take the bus and pay like 2 euros for the bus, or like to drink a coffee of like 1 euro. Yes, at the time I struggled with even like 2 euros. So a lot of times, if I wanted to save money, I would like walk into places like to meet my friends to have then money for like coffees or other types of stuff that at the time was like, yeah, not healthy stuff. I was in a dark place at the time, right? So basically, I was walking to meet my friends. And again, this is a small town. This is a town that was based in being like fisherman town because it's like near the ocean. So like the culture and history is very based on fishing and also mining salt. I don't know if that's the proper word, but like yeah, making salt and mining salt. And there are not many big companies. I actually don't know like a proper big company that you have to go with suit and tie and you have to go like all dressed up. Like I never, like it's very rare for me. I don't quite remember the times that I saw, for example, people dressing very properly or with suits and ties, because this is a very humble city. Most people like dress very like humbly, you know. This is also not a very rich city. Portugal doesn't have a lot of money. We struggle a lot in Portugal, and people like dress very casually, and like there is not much wealth in this. It's a city that runs on tourism. It's very touristic city, so there are not many people dressing like with suit and tie and business people. And imagine I'm walking to go meet my friend and I reach the center of the city, or yeah, like a part of the center, and this is during the day. This is like 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock p.m. Sun is shining, people on the streets, a very normal day, right? And I'm walking through a street, one of the main streets of my hometown, and I see this guy in the distance wearing a suit and tie with a suitcase. And I looked at him in the distance and I was like, this is peculiar because people don't dress like this in the city. Like people don't appear like this. They are very humble because again, there is not many businesses where you have to dress with suit and tie. I never saw honestly a guy that well dressed in the streets, honestly. So I see this guy just standing there, suit and tie, black and white, the suit and tie, you know, with a suitcase in his right hand. And I just see this guy standing there. He was still like just looking around, dressed to the nines, with a suitcase. I find it weird, but I don't think too much about it, right? So I'm walking and I'm passing through this guy. And this guy approaches me. Remember, this is broad daylight. I'm suspecting nothing. Like, it's just another day, you know, it's broad daylight. I'm not paranoid. I'm not suspicious, even though something was weird, but I'm not like in my mind looking for danger, right? So I'm passing this guy, and this guy approaches me, and he talks very quickly, like, I'm selling fake perfumes, Dolce Gabbana, Gucci, da, da. Do you want to smell? And he talks like very quickly. And he's like, yeah, I'm selling fake perfume, da, da, da. Do you want to smell? And basically, he has in his hand one of those cartoon stripes where you test perfumes. And he puts like the cardboard stripe like in front of me, like those perfume testers. And in that moment, the guy spoke very fast, so I barely had time to process, what was happening. And this is also part of the scheme. That's why I'm telling all these details, because they are very smart with what they do. And in that moment, I was looking at the stripe, I was looking at the guy. I have not even processed what you were saying. And in my mind, I heard it so loud. Thank you, universe. Thank you for all the spiritual, I don't know, things, beings, energy that got my back. I heard it so loud in my mind, don't smell it. So that moment, the guy is with a stripe of perfume in front of me. I'm standing there, still processing what he said, and I'm hearing in my mind, "Don't smell it," but so loud. It was so clear. It was really like this thought in my mind, big thoughts, so loud, so clear, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna smell it." And what do I do? The guy has a strip of the perfume, and I put my nose close to it. I don't inhale. I pretend that I'm smelling, but I'm not. I put my nose close to it and I say to him, "No, thank you." And I continue walking. The guy doesn't say a word to me after I said no, thank you. And I'm walking and I'm looking back, and the guy is like looking at me a bit like shocked. He's looking at me very like, I don't know. The guy is looking at me a bit shocked, right? And I go to the coffee with my friend. And I don't think much of it, right? I find it like, okay, it was a bit weird, but I'm not overthinking. I'm not thinking too much about it, right? So I have coffee with my friend. I don't even know if I told her what happens. And I go home. I don't think too much about it, right? A week later, I have social media, right? And most of my connections and friendships on social media, like, yeah, the friends that I have in there are people from my hometown. And from time to time, they will share like warning, like, this is happening in my hometown. Like, a guy is chasing a woman, or a guy like tried to assault a woman, this type of stuff, right? Me banalizing this like it's normal, but at the time it was unfortunately a very normal occurrence. That's why I don't know why people say Portugal is safe. For me, it's not. It's very common, especially I think as a woman, to be unfortunately assaulted, and unfortunately, it's very, for me, very a normal day-to-day reoccurrence. So I log into this social media, right? And I see this warning on social media like, hey, people from my hometown, beware, because a ring of, I cannot say the words because of YouTube, but a ring of people that kidnap people to sell them for organs or unconsensual intimate relationships. There is a very specific word for this, but I'm trying to convey YouTube guidelines. A ring of people that kidnap people is passing through my hometown, and they basically roofie you by you smelling, those things I only saw in movies, really, that they put like a type of substance in like some sort of cloth or napkin or whatever, and they put it over your mouth and you pass out. It is that substance. They will basically knock you out by you smelling that substance, but they will pretend it will be perfumes. They'll pretend that you are smelling perfumes, but really you are smelling that substance that basically makes you pass out. And when I read that, I was like, oh, when I read that, I was like, oh my God. And then I looked back at the situation and I was like, this is something that I did not pay too much attention to it when I was experienced that situation. This is something that I look back and I was like, oh my God. Basically, the guy with a suit and tie and with like with a briefcase was in front of a van. Like he probably was in front of a van because basically I think they make you inhale that substance and you pass out and basically you go into the van. And also they do this in broad daylight on purpose. It's basically for you to look for you to not be scared, because if they did this maybe like during the night or when the sun is setting, like you'll be in more eye alert. So they do this on a busy street with people all walking around in broad daylight for you to not suspect anything. The craziest part is that this story does not end here. Oh, it does not. This story comes back like 3 or 4 years later in my life. Okay, so let's fast forward in my life story. So now I am no longer living in my hometown. I'm living in a different city of Portugal. I moved to a different city and I'm like living there alone. And basically, I had a couple of friends. And one time I was sharing this story. Like, I was sharing this story. I think he was with my roommate at the time. I'm not quite sure, but I think he was. I was sharing this story that this happened to me. Yeah, this guy tried to like kidnap me by making me smell a substance that would like make me pass out. Da. So I'm telling this story. And I'm telling her that it was under this pretense that they were selling perfumes. And she tells me, hey, that's really weird because we had another friend, and she tells me that we have this friend in common that she was going shopping in like, yeah, a shopping place, a very common one. And in the parking lot of the shopping place, and imagine, again, broad daylight, tons of people around, same thing. She was approached by two guys in a car with the same discourse. Basically, they were like, yeah, we are selling perfumes from Chanel, Dolce Gabbana, Gucci. Do you want to smell? And it's really it's not funny, but that friend of ours, like, she had some sight and hearing issues, so she also was not capable to fully process, and they speak very fast, so you're not able to process the information. They do this very quickly, so you're kind of not able to process what is happening to you because it's happening all so fast. And the saving grace of this friend is that we had another friend that was watching, like, our friend from afar, like speaking with this man in like in the car, and she was like, oh no, like, let's get out of here, let's get out of here. So my friend basically took that friend and she was like, let's leave, let's go there, let's go shopping. So this is something that came back in my life 3 to 4 years later in a completely different city. So beware. Unfortunately, I guess this is normal. I don't understand, honestly. And this is a occurrence in my life that happened again. And I'm gonna tell the second time that this almost happened in the next episode of Magical Conversations. And this really highlighted to me the power of the mind and the power of thoughts and the power of belief. If you heard my first episode of season 2, the episode, I think, living with narcissistic parents, I told a story of where my mother, she is a narcissist, and basically she had to control all the environments that I was in, even outside of the family environment. When I was a kid, she would only let me be in environments where she had control over it. or environments that were like as bad as my environment at home was, like environments that were similar in terms of mistreatment and belittling and unsafety and all of that. She would only let me be in these type of environments where or she could control, or they were like similar environments that I was experiencing at home. And in environments where she had no control over, she would instill in me fear. So I would slowly but surely disengage with environments that she could not control. And I told a story about meeting like a girl from Brazil and wanting to go to her house and like being friends with her. And this is an environment where my mother had no control over. So, what did she do? She instilled fear in me by saying, "Hey, I think if you go to their house, you're going to be kidnapped. They are going to sell your organs." Basically, she told me that in graphic detail, that if I went to their house, they were going to kidnap me and, yeah, open me up, sell my organs. Crazy story, right? And this thought, this belief, this fear that she instilled in me almost came true twice. And I don't know about the rest of the people, but I really believe that my mind creates my reality for the worse or for the better. If I expect good things to come, if I believe good things are coming, they will. But if I live in fear, if I believe in the worst case scenario, it will happen. And this really taught me the, the power of believing for the best or for the worst. This really taught me that if you believe something will happen, it will. And in many ways, this can be a blessing and a curse, right? Because if you believe good things will happen, they will. But if you live in fear and you believe bad things that will happen, they will. So this taught me a big lesson about the power of thought. And also like this type, because this was not the only example of the power of thought that I have in the worst case scenario most times. This really taught me the importance of healing and facing what I have in my mind, and also like having almost personal hygiene in terms of thoughts, like making sure that you are addressing your fear-based thoughts. Because for me, if I'm not addressing my fear, chaos will instill in my life. Like if I'm not addressing the fear of my mind, if I'm not healing it, if I'm not confronting it, if I'm not feeling it, it's end game for me. Like I my life becomes utter and complete chaos. If I live in chaos in my mind, my life becomes chaos. And this really taught me a powerful and sometimes scary lesson of the power of believing. And for me to basically overcome this, I really had to sit with the feelings of my mother instilling those type of belief systems and fear into me. And I really had to feel that fear, and I really had to love that fear. And fear, it is now, it is not as bad as it was before, but like at the beginning it was really hard for me to sit with my fear. It was really hard to sit with my paranoia, with my sense of unsafety, with how am I able to survive? Like, how can I survive another day? Life is so dangerous. Life is so scary. Life is so unsafe. And I really had difficulties in sitting with fear. And I talked about this in season one, my first ever episode of Magical Conversations. of this sense of fear because it was really hard for me to learn how to sit with it and how to feel it. Basically, I went through this stage in my life when I started to heal, right? When I started to face the music, when I started to feel my emotions, fear was really overwhelming in the sense that I did not feel safe anywhere. I always felt like at any moment I might not be alive. Anything can happen, and my like physical safety is in danger. And I was always extremely paranoid, like thinking this person is going to hurt me physically. This person, yeah, is going to make me not alive anymore. And I really struggle with this severely constant paranoia. And I reached a point that I was in my healing journey. I started to heal, right? I started to feel those emotions. And the emotions, they get worse before they get better. When you are purging these emotions, they really are intense. And they are intense for you to let them go, right? They are intense for you to feel them out and let them out. And I was really in peaks of paranoia and fear and always thinking about the worst case scenario. And one time I was grocery shopping and I left the grocery shop and I saw a man. And usually, when in this stage of life, when I will see a man, I will always be scared because men were the ones that caused me the most physical unsafety. Women, I think it was more psychological, but men was mostly physical. So every time that I'll see a man during this time, I'll fear for my life. Fear for my life. Extreme paranoia, extreme fear. And I was really going through the paranoia and fear, and I saw a man in the streets, and I got that instinct of fear. And in that moment, because I already been experienced so much paranoia and so much fear, I decided to do something different. That was to envision fear. So in that moment, I felt fear and I envisioned it as a creature outside of me. So I envisioned this creature that was like this big monster, like furry, like the fur was black. He had like teeth like a vampire. He had claws, big nails. He was like 2 meters tall, taller than me. And I envisioned fear. And for me, it was like a monster like figure. And I looked at the fear that I'm envisioning in my mind. And I say to the fear, I love you. I accept you. Walk with me as a friend. And I gave this creature that I envisioned fear my hands. And I said, walk with me. I love you and I accept you as someone that I love. And basically, I walked with it. And every time that I will be on the streets, I'll see a man, I'll feel fear. I will envision fear, this monster like figure, and I'll give it love by saying, hey, I accept you, I love you, walk with me. The more I loved and accepted this creature that I envision as fear, the more it transformed. So across time, this creature that I had in my mind as tall, big, dark, and scary, it started to get shorter by time, and it started to have more human-like features and be less of a quote-unquote a monster. So it started to shapeshift the more I give it love and acceptance. And one time, I'm in the street, I see a man, I have fear. And after a long time of loving and accepting my fear, right? And I looked to my right to envision fear, and I saw my inner child. I saw myself as a kid, and I looked at her, and I realized this big monster, right, that I had in my mind, this creature that I was trying to ostracize and get out of my life was myself, was my inner child. It was the version of me that felt so scared and so unsafe. And I looked at her, and when I saw my inner child, I was like, damn, I'm sorry for all the times that I tried to neglect you. I'm sorry for the times that I did not see you. You were right there, and I envisioned you as a monster. I envisioned you as this big, dark, scary figure when you were so pure and so innocent, and you did not deserve any of this fear. You did not deserve to go through this unsafety, and you had no one there for you. And you survived. You survived. And I'm so grateful that you did. And I'm so grateful that now I see you. Now I see who you are. And now I understand you. So from then on, every time that I saw fear, and I do the same until today. That's why I feel fear, but the fear quickly transforms into love because I see my inner child, and I give her space to play. I say to her, "Hey, do whatever you want. I'm here for you. I'm here to look after you." So usually I envision my inner child like playing, like running around, dancing, do whatever she wants, being free, and I look after her. I am her safeguard. I am the safety that she needs. So now when I experience fear, it really quickly turns into love because when I experience fear, now I look into my rights and I see myself, the purest form of myself. I see my inner child. And I just give her all the love and all the acceptance. It's really funny because at the beginning, the first time that I saw my inner child in this fear visualization, she was really scared. Like she will hold my hands tight, and she was like, the way that I envisioned her was she was very close to me, very scared, like just looking to feel safe and looking for safety in me. And the more I loved her and I accept her, the more she's free. The more like she did not take my hand and she just went to explore. It started little by little. She explored like a little bit and then she'll come back to my hands. And then the more I loved and I accept, she explored more, she played more. And now when I envision her, she's just free. She does not hold my hand, she's just free. And this was really healing to love my fear, even though it was extremely hard. I had to love a lot of paranoia and I had to love a lot of sense of unsafety and I had to feel a lot of physical unsafety, not feeling safe in my body, not feeling safe in the world. And that was extremely hard feelings to hold and to love. But it's something that I'm forever grateful for because it really allowed me to tap into a part of myself that I forgot. Most of my life, I forgot how bad it was. I forgot how painful it was. I forgot how much obstacles and danger and unsafe situations I had to overcome and survive from. But in a lot of ways, it made me love myself more. It really made me to meet myself at this so instinctual level, at this primal emotions that are so deep seated in our core. They are so like rooted in generations, right? So in a lot of ways, I'm very grateful for fear because fear was a great gateway to a lot of self love. Fear was a gateway to unconditional love. I say sometimes that fear is the parts of you that never received love, and I relate to that a lot because every time that I'm scared or fearful, my now first instinct is to love, is to accept, is to be there for myself. And I still use the visualization technique with like new emotions or different emotions like anxiety, feeling trapped. I envision them, and now I even like draw them out and I put them in the place where I can always see them. And when I see them, I give them love, I give them support. So now I have all these techniques that allow me to move from and move forward from really overwhelming, intense emotions that are really primal, and they really send you to that primal survival instincts that are like so overwhelming that you logically, physically cannot bypass that, cannot overcome that. You have to overcome through love, as any emotion. Any emotion you overcome through love. Every hard moment in life is about space, time, and love. And of course, this is not immediate, this takes time, right? But the more you do it, the more they change. So now when I feel fear, I feel that first instinct of fear, especially if it's relating with, for example, I see a man and I'm scared. Like now I don't remember fear. Like of course I have anger, right, with for example my new roommate and stuff like that. I have anger, but that primal fear I've not felt it in a long time, which I'm very grateful. And I think yes, I've not felt it because I know now how to shift it into love. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for hearing my story. Thank you for being here and taking time to hear this story. I'm grateful for the love that I have for myself. I'm grateful for the love that I have for my fear. I'm grateful to be alive. Very grateful to be alive. It's quite a miracle, to be quite honest. I'm grateful of how much I overcame, of how much I surpassed, of how much I've survived. I'm grateful to be here with still hope and love in my art, with still a sense of being connected with my inner child. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm also grateful for all of you that listen. I'm grateful for all the subscribers on YouTube. I'm grateful for the people that listen to this podcast. I'm grateful for all the followers on Instagram. I love my community there on Instagram at Laurinda. I'm grateful for all of you that resonate with my message, make me feel seen, heard, and supported. And I hope that you feel the same through these stories, at least seen, heard. And I just wanted to wish you a good day or night whenever you're listening. Bye.